Hi, my name is Beth Rachel, and I am an intuitive channel, shadow alchemist, energy educator, and multidimensional healer. I am here to help support humanity's spiritual evolution through the alchemization of shadow and the embodiment of soul. And I want to talk today about the third eye a little bit. I realize this is a very popular topic and, one that could be considered over-talked. And that's actually part of why I wanted to talk about it today, because I feel like there are some things that are missing from the conversation of being psychic and opening the third eye. There is so much focus being put on it, but what are we really looking for? I know a lot of people are looking to open their psychic abilities and open their awareness. So let's talk about that for a moment. Let's talk about what it means to see things through the third eye, see things intuitively. For a lot of people, they are born with this open, more people than they actually realize. And for one reason or another, it's shut down. And unfortunately, often that is from adults around you as a child, because we're taught through generations, often related to religions, that being psychic is bad and somehow related to being evil. So a lot of the people that experience blocks when they're older, it can actually be from childhood experiences of being shut down, and or it can be an ancestral experience that they've carried through of it being shut down through their past ancestors and through their genetics, because of these beliefs of it being associated with things that are bad or wrong, or even evil or witchcraft, the devil, things like this. So when people come to me and they want to be psychic, it's often that they have one of these blocks, but it doesn't explain why they want to be psychic. So why do we want to open the third eye? Why do we want to see what's going on intuitively? Well, I think we want to awaken, right? We want to be able to see other layers of reality and what's happening around us. We want to be able to see through the veils of distortion that are being put upon us. And we want to be able to see the truth of our reality and have access to all of our abilities that we know can help shift and change these veils of distortion that are being placed upon us. So one thing that I do want to address is that I see a lot of people who are psychic, who have an open third eye, who are offering their services, but actually aren't integrating what I believe is that we need to integrate the third eye with the crown chakra, and that our third eye abilities really need to be linked with source in order to be used in a holistic way. Otherwise, often what we're picking up and perceiving is projections of and for and from others. A lot of energy gets tossed around within that realm of the third eye. That is where the abilities of telepathy lie, telekinesis lie, and where we project thoughts and imprints into each other's spaces, and also where a lot of thoughts and imprints, projections are put into our space from outside sources, from some of these veils of distortion. This is where the mind lives. And so there are many, many layers of distortion set upon that third eye space and set upon how we own our psychic ability. And so what I'm really trying to say here is that I believe that as we're opening that third eye, it needs to be connected to our source relationship. It needs to be run through our source connection. Because if it isn't, then we're not double checking a field of consciousness that is filled with distortion and filled with projection. And often what we will pick up from another is that projection, is that distortion. And that is what we will perceive as truth for them through that third eye image if we're not cross-referencing it with our source connection through the top of our head. The other thing I want to say is that a lot of times psychics are some of the most invasive people that I've ever experienced. I have had experiences where I've been in conversation with someone and suddenly there's someone in my space, and it takes me a minute to sort of figure out what this person is doing here. And it's a psychic individual who is wanting to check in on something that we talked about, and may not even realize that they're projecting into my space, but I'm realizing it. So psychics and boundaries around that third eye are hugely important. So if you're wanting to open your third eye and you're wanting to activate this area, I think it's important to recognize that there is a sea of psychic energy on this level, and that it is important to also really deepen the relationship with Source at the same time. This is also why I believe a lot of people start to experience psychic attack when they first start to open their psychic abilities and awaken, is because they're not accessing this source energy and they're just opening their third eye. And like I mentioned before, this is where a lot of the projections from the veils of distortion are coming from the matrix programmers. This is the exact vibrational frequencies they program into, so that they can sort of control not just the narrative but the vision, control what is being perceived. Because the third eye, the sixth chakra, is all about perception. It's all about how we perceive reality, and being able to read the layers of perception takes time. Cross-referencing them with source is a lot quicker and easier. And so what I'm getting at here is that I think it's equally important to focus on opening the crown chakra and the relationship with source as it is to open the third eye and open these psychic abilities, so that they are held, and so that we have the ability to sort of inquire about what we are seeing, what we are perceiving. Oftentimes when I am teaching people to look at certain energies and they're taking them in through their perception, they may experience something that they don't understand because it's getting cross-referenced through their perception. I can think of a time where I was teaching someone to remote view inside of the body to take a look at, we were specifically looking at an individual's liver. The individual remote viewing and looking inside the body was seeing to her what looked like black entities. When we cross-referenced that with source and went beyond just her filter, what we saw were heavy metals in the liver. So that's an example of why it's really important, because of how this person relates to the metals as something bad. So therefore she then jumps to entity or dark entity and doesn't stop to consider other ideas, because that's simply what she has learned to perceive. And so that's what she's basing her analysis on. And you'll see that a lot with different psychics that are out there in the world. And I'm not saying being psychic is wrong or bad at all. I'm just sharing that I think it's important to cross-reference that with source energy. So if you're looking to open your third eye, open these abilities, work on opening your crown chakra as well. Work on opening up to the white light of infinite source potential and allowing that to stream through and open up the pineal gland in conjunction with the third eye, in conjunction with the sixth chakra. One other area to focus on is the calcification of the pineal gland, and this also has been talked about a lot. And it has to do not just with the third eye, it has to do with our source connection. And some things that have already probably been discussed as far as how to decalcify that, taking certain things out of the diet, taking certain supplements, certain zeolites or other detoxifiers can be really helpful. And also practicing and meditating with your source connection can be hugely, hugely helpful in decalcifying that pineal gland, because it's going back to activating the original genome. It's going back to activating that infinite source potential that is alive within each of us as beings that are a spark of God ourselves. Each of us has that within us. And so we have the ability to regenerate and to shift and change any hardness that has happened, any calcification that has happened within there, simply through utilization, simply through access. The physical detoxifiers help as well, and I would also recommend a liquid Ormus. It will also help to turn on those third eye abilities that we talked about before, seeing and hearing energy. If you'd like to know more about seeing and hearing energy, working with energy, perceiving, guidance around your intuitive abilities or skills, and how to help them to feel more contained or grounded, have more control, for lack of a better word, then please don't hesitate to reach out, bethrachel.com, or you can find me on Facebook or Instagram as well. Wishing you a beautiful day.